when I did suffer that loss, the way that I describe it is like a phoenix coming from the flames, right? Like I went through all of this heavy, hard loss. All of these people beat me up, whatever having you. Emotions beat me up, and then from the other side, there was like another version of myself created. So like if I look at my music and even how I like looked at the approach of music from visuals to sound to let my emotions go, I was nowhere near where I am now. Before that happened, I feel like I was on a path to being like more of a traditional R&B artist. But now I feel like I'm this weird alternate artist that kind of is just trying different experimental things through the music, but also through like the lyricism and the storytelling. And I feel like it's more open. Hi, my name is Denzel the artist, and I'm a visionary and R&B singer. Cool. What do you do? We already said that. Okay. Talk to me about your music. What drives you to create? So, in terms of the drive for creating music, I always go back to big story, right? So, a couple years ago, uh, maybe around like 4 to 5 years ago, I had this traumatic experience that happened in my life. At that point, I was graduating college, and I was doing R&B before that. You know, it was all good. I wanted to be like Trey Songz, whatever, Miguel. Those were my inspirations, right? Um, and it's weird because I look back on my music now and I'm like, man, I sounded totally different. But this traumatic experience happened to where I had two of my brothers passed away. My grandma passed away, and then my younger cousin passed away by gunshot. And this all happened within the small time period of a year to 2 years. Also during that time, I was graduating college. I was in a very psychological, depressive relationship, and my brother had just went into the hospital for heart surgery, so he was essentially dying too. And I was graduating, right? Normal stresses of life. So during that time period, I stopped creating, I stopped making music, I stopped doing video, I stopped just doing anything as an artist, right? Like my whole mind just kind of shut down. And one day I was like just sitting there in my studio, and I was like, man, like I miss my brothers, I miss like the people in my family. Like this loss really took so much of a toll on me. And I just thought about what would it be like for them to continue on, you know? And I was like, that's what I'm here for. Like everything that they loved, like the shows that they loved, the smiles that they used to give people, the energy that they used to bring to life. Like if I'm not there to continue that on, like what were they here for, you know? So what drives me to create now is legacy, right? Legacy of my brothers, legacy of my grandma, my cousin, all those people that essentially put this energy out into the world, and they were gone essentially. So now it's me to be the torchbearer, right? So that's what drives me at the end of the day to create music. Along with that, there's also the drive to motivate others and inspire others. I feel like a lot of people, we feel so connected these days, right? Like we have technology or phones or whatever have you, right? But I feel like at the end of the day, the most important connection that can ever be utilized is the human connection. And I feel like with R&B music, it makes you feel things, right? It makes you reach deep into your soul, at least the music that I create. And I feel like that's what drives me as well, to connect people at the end of the day, whether it be through the Denzel the artist, R&B Open Floor Experiment, giving back to nonprofits, or just bringing a community together through R&B. Like that's what drives me to create. Um, Creative process is sometimes complex, but it's really simple when you think about it. Is For me, it's looking back on what were the lessons that I had missed while I was going through relationships or hardships during my life. I've suffered a lot of loss throughout my time being here at a young age, and a lot of people don't understand what that means, or um, and if they have gone through that, they might not know how to go through it. So my creative process is pretty much just reaching back on those experiences, putting myself there, and then how do I create a canvas for people to not only identify and see that, it's okay to go through these things and show your emotions. But I lost my train of thought. Uh, the creative process is just basically creating that canvas for those people to see and to take on those experiences, but also figure out how to move forward through those experiences. Um, if you want to break it down in a simple way, I usually go to the studio. I have my own home studio. I listen to music, and then I put myself in those processes that I've been through, right? Like whether it be the pain, whether it be the emotions of past relationships, whether it be something I thought I needed to teach myself, or it might be another person that they might be going through something, right? Like I had a friend who went through this crazy traumatic experience with a girl during his relationships, and I wrote about that as well. But it's really about writing from experience. Yeah. What is your mission? Hmm. I think I kind of talked about it a little bit. My mission essentially is to help others connect, um, and to feel. I say that a lot, like in press kits or whenever I'm trying to explain my brand, right? And what I mean by that is essentially uh to help people see what's truly on the inside. Like I feel like we have a lot of facades up these days, illusions, smoke and mirrors, right? Through whether it be through social media, or just going to the job every day, right? You got to put up a facade, and I feel like that just breeds more walls being put up. A lot of people don't want to showcase their true selves, So I feel like whatever talent that God has bestowed upon me, if I can help people to actually look inside themselves and be like, yo, this is who I am. And this is whether it's good or bad. And how do you grow from that? Right. So I feel like that's my mission, to just show people that it's okay to look inside and see their true selves. What do you hope people feel through your music? Uh, it's a variety of things. um, the main thing is kind of what I touched on before, right? Just feeling in general. Now, I don't want to guide people's feelings, but uh, I've written about, sex. I've written about, but it's not just sex in the way where it's like we talking about all this weird rough stuff, whatever. There's a tasteful way to talk about those things, the intimacy, right? Um, so if you want to feel flirtatious, if you want to feel, sexy, if you want to feel like you're the main character and you have a lot of aura, uh, these are the feelings that I would like people to feel when they listen to my music. Yeah. What are you trying to create for other artists through the R&B Open Floor? Okay, you did your homework. R&B Open Floor Experiment. Um, The R&B Open Floor Experiment was created for artists to have platforms that they can utilize to not only spread awareness for their brands, but also to give back to the community, right? So I created the R&B Open Floor Experiment a couple years ago. Basically, I was at a time in my life where, I was trying to get to venues and stuff like that. And I felt like every time I got into a venue, they gave me the poorest resources, right? Like you do all this lead up to get into that moment of actually sharing your art. And it just feels like crap, right? Like you got to do the writing, you got to do the applying to the venue, you got to do all the PR, you got to do all this stuff, right? As an artist, and when you finally get on a stage, you want to feel set, just to express. And I didn't feel that way, whether it was going to different cities or being in my own city. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. So I was like, okay. My mom always told me like, if these doors are closed, and build your own door, build your own table. So that's what we essentially did. We created the R&B Open Floor Experiment, went into our local community, found R&B artists that, you know, uh, seemed very skillful at their craft and very serious at what they wanted to do. I wanted to take it a step further because a lot of these artists don't know what to do as far as like social awareness goes, they don't have the resources, right? And I was like, yo, I'm a cinematographer. I have access to a studio. I have the knowledge of how to create content at a highly polished, way. So what we do with these artists, we bring them in, we shoot all of their content, we do all of their photos, we do all of their video, all of this for free. We do all of their marketing, we show them how to market, give them some insight and advice on that. And then from there, we find the venue, we talk to the venue owners, set up everything as far as the venue goes. Um, and then the artists just come in and perform, right? So they have everything to promote with. They have all the tools to, talk to their audience, to be a high quality artist, and then come in and do the show, right? And then on top of that, they make money from selling tickets themselves. That's the only thing we ask them to do. So with the R&B Open Floor Experiment, it's really just about building those artists that feel that they don't have the resources, right? And at the end of that, tagging on to that, we partner with a nonprofit for every show that we do with the R&B Open Floor Experiment. So they're not just like the bolt on tag along, right? Like we throughout the whole experience, we're like, okay, what are your creative ideas, right? And we ask the artists that as well because this is essentially their canvas. That stage is their canvas. We don't want to be like, yo, you gotta do this like Denzel the artist. No, this is our canvas. Let's bring it to this experiment, right? Um, so helping artists, giving them resources, partnering with nonprofits, and then giving back to the community financially, right? Because a part of those tickets go to the community, and then building a platform for Denzel artists. So, can you talk to me about your cinematic visual content? Yeah. So, okay, I would describe it as Denzel the artist content, like the cinematic visuals and stuff like that, is a world in itself. It is a whole like imagine the Odyssey just came out, whatever, Christopher Nolan movies, right? Those are all in a certain universe, right? When you think of his the way he approaches films, when you think of the way he writes films or like his characters within those films, they're all a part of a certain universe, which is essentially the Nolan universe, right? So the way that I look at things is from an artist's perspective is that everything connects, right? And I'm an actor, I'm a musician, I'm a cinematographer. So I'm like, okay, how can I make all of these things connect in a high quality, highly polished storytelling type of way, right? Um, and that's where Denzel the artist cinematic universe comes into play. So if you look at my videos, or like any of the visuals that I make that are like music videos or something like that, a lot of them do connect. A lot of people don't know that, but they do connect in some type of way, whether it be the usage of just like storytelling and little things that I pin, little oddities, items that I might use in the music videos, the clothing, they're all a part of the same universe. And I think that's cool because whoever that audience is, they'll be able to not only suspend themselves in disbelief within that world, but it's also something that you can buy into, right? You're not like, oh, this is a one and done thing. You're waiting for the next one, right? So yeah, digital artist universe, cinematic universe. Yeah. Where does your inspiration come from? I think my inspiration comes from my mom, honestly. At the end of the day, she would always tell me as a young child, like, Denzel, you can do anything you want. She would literally tell me that all the time. Right? I'm like, oh, thanks, mom. But it's interesting to think back on that because as a kid, like I wasn't a part of a lot of the normal kid activities like football and like stuff like that because I had a lot of surgeries when I was young. So it just kind of kept me. Everybody would be like, "Oh, keep Denzel safe," he's so delicate, and that would make me so mad because I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to be like all the other kids. But yeah, I was a fat kid, freaking used to get picked on. Um, I was not the guy. I was not the guy,
Really?
I definitely wasn't. I was not the guy. I was nerdy. I was bullied, bruh. But at the end of all that, right, I still kept who I was. Like I didn't want to be a part of the bad kids in school. I didn't want to be, the sports guy. I was like, I can't do none of those things, right? Like, Denzel, you had surgery on your leg, you had surgery on your neck. You're not doing those things. Let your cousin do those things, okay? Um, but one thing that I could do was art, whether it was acting, whether it was singing, the stuff that I would get picked on about. Um, it led to the success of where I am today, right? And that's all from my mom just being like, you can do whatever you want, because she could have just been like, what is this art stuff? Like, she had no idea. Like, I have conversations with my mom all the time. My mom is my best friend. Like, I love her. And she would be like, I didn't know. She was super young, super young mom. She's like, I was just proud of my son for, doing these things and like doing these things that I never did, and I'm like, that's crazy. That's so dope to think about that. But you hear about these parents that are like, they want their kid to be this certain thing, right? And if they stray from the path or if they are picked on or something like that, they kind of look down on them, you know? So I'm very thankful that I have a mother like the mother that I have. It truly is a blessing. So yeah, that's what inspired
I have
me.
a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned your surgeries.
Yep.
What happened to you as a child?
So when I was born, I had a pregenital birth defect. I had a, I had a they did a scan on me, a full body scan. First, okay, so the first surgery, when I was 7 years old, my bone was growing out of my leg a different way, like it was growing crazy. And they were like, we got to set this back into place. So they set it back into place. And then I think like 2 years later, it was doing the same thing again. And so they did a full body scan on me. And then they found my neck was like basically the C1 vertebrae was dislodged. So there was a possibility if I was hit the wrong way, out of all those 9 years that we didn't know, I could have been paralyzed at any point. So that's why I couldn't play any contact sports. I couldn't do anything that would essentially like rough me up. Um, but it was caused from a pregenital birth defect. So they had to go in, connect my C1, C2, and fix my leg. And yeah, I'm good now. But yeah, crazy. But yeah, it's just a blessing to be here. Anyway, you've experienced loss that changed the direction of your life. Can you talk to me about that loss and how it shaped the person and artist you are today? So yeah, I did touch on it a lot, but um it changed my life. And I feel like I get so emotional when I talk about this stuff. But it definitely changed my life because just to be candid, like I felt like after all that stuff happened, like I did lose a piece of like my happiness essentially, right? Because when things like this happen, whether you lose a parent or lose somebody that's super close to you, there is a part of you that's gone, right? And usually that happens when you're in the older stages of life. But to witness that so young and like to be going like I had already been through a lot of traumatic experiences growing up, but to lose somebody that was essentially in your life every day, somebody that you would talk to every day, that was a part of your character, it takes a piece of you, right? And it doesn't make life darker, but I can literally look back and see the transition of me being like this like super happy, oh my god, like everything is gonna be fine, everything is always fine, everything is great, which I still am, but like I just feel like there's a darkness there, right? Like, and it's not in a way to where it's like, oh, there's a dark Denzel and a light Denzel. But there is less color in the world. I'll say that. And I feel like that's how it changed me. Still a positive person, still, good. Try to be as good as of a guy as I can because nobody's perfect, right? But every day I feel like it's like, man, where'd the color go? Now I feel like everything is me and them. So when I wake up in the morning and I don't want to do something, I'm like, but think about all these other people, you know? And with that, does it is kind of like you put a burden on yourself, right? You put like these weird chains on yourself, and you're like, dude, you got to do this because of so and so. But there's also a positive about that as well because a lot of people go through that and they might be on the other side, right? Like they might be super depressed for years. Like I went through that. Like it didn't just affect me, it affected my dad, it affected my brother's mom, it affected my brother, my little brother. Like he went through it crazy. Like I had to watch him suffer through it. Like I came through this side and he went through this side. So yeah, I think it definitely made me a stronger person. I think it definitely took some color out of the world, and I think it made me more driven than I ever anticipated being. So yeah, I know at the expense. Yeah, everything happens for a reason. You
Mhm.
know, sure. But that's why I wear all black now. I'm just
Are you playing
you're like,
that?
are you playing though? Ah, okay. I'm trying to make sure I have all the ties on this question. As far as the artist thing goes, that's what I really wanted to touch on. I wanted to come back to that. Uh, when I keep saying like I can see the differentiation. When I did suffer that loss, it was like the way that I describe it is like a phoenix coming from the flames, right? Like I went through all of this heavy, hard loss. All of these people beat me up, whatever having you. Emotions beat me up, and then from the other side, there was like another version of myself created. So like if I look at my music and even how I like looked at the approach of music from visuals to sound to let my emotions go. Like I was nowhere near where I am now. More it, before that happened, I feel like I was on a path to being like more of a traditional R&B artist. But now I feel like I'm this weird alternate uh artist that kind of is just trying different experimental things through the music, but also through like the lyricism and the storytelling. And I feel like it's more open.
Mm.
Yeah. So if your younger self was here with us right now, what would you say to him? Ooh, that's crazy. I would tell him, hey man, it's okay to be you. Just keep being you, man. And I would say, there are some things that are gonna happen in life, ups and downs. But it's really all in how you go through it, and don't be afraid to step out on faith. Just don't be afraid to do that. If your future self was here with us, what would he tell you to stop holding back? Man, stop holding back. That's tough.
Do you feel like you're
It's
holding back?
tough. I feel like, am I holding back? I feel like not now. Not anymore.
Then how about if your wildest dreams came true
Yeah.
and you had your future self in the room with you after everything that happened? What would you ask him?
Man, I would be like, bro, how did you do that? Like, what's the secret sauce, bro? No, I would ask him, I would say, hey, man, are you happy right now?
Mhm.
I would say, are you happy as a human being? Because I feel like at this transition now in my life, like with the job thing and like all this crazy stuff going on, um, I'm like trying to find that balance of what really makes me happy, because when I was at the corporate job, it's like, okay, I got this money, like this is great money, cool. Oh, I'm finally at the position I wanted to be, a senior level, da 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 da. And I'm like, this is what I wanted, but like I'm not like super happy. And it might sound like cliche or stereotypical, but it's like it didn't make me happy. So like if he got everything that he wanted, like, are you still happy, bro? Yeah. And if you are, how did you do that and you're still happy, What is the biggest lesson life is teaching you right now? Be patient. Patience. Sow the seeds and be patient. What are you learning to love about yourself? Hmm. Man, what am I learning? What am I learning? What am I learning? To appreciate what I have to offer the world. Like whether that's like creating content or like, talking to people and connecting, networking, having like genuine conversations and not judging myself, right? Like give yourself the credit. Like appreciate what you have to offer. It's not what about everybody else can offer or about what they can do. Like appreciate your own path and what you have to offer. I think that's what I'm learning to love. Yeah. How has it felt to be seen in this way? In what way?
In this
In
setup,
this
in this
setup.
room, through these questions.
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I love the genuine approach. Um, I think I think it's awesome. I talk a lot about people being open towards me, but like I never really thought about being placed in a seat to be open towards another. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's awesome. Biggest takeaway from this today, I would say the biggest takeaway is to come on this show. I know, for real. You gotta talk to her, guys. My biggest takeaway is to appreciate moments like these, right? Because it's really hard to find genuine people like you. Um, and genuine energy. I'm a big energy person. Like I feel like that's one of my gifts is like the energy that I can feel from people, right? Um, and you have a certain type of positive, genuine energy that I do not come across often. So, biggest takeaway is to appreciate these moments with people like you, for real.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel that in you as well.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Any final thoughts? I would say it's very important for people to focus on their paths, right? I feel like right now we're in a place, man, we're in a place. We're in a place where a lot of people are fixated on, you know, what's the next best thing or like who do I look after to be the best or like whatever, right? A lot of comparison, right? And then there's also people are not people are not exercising the present, right? We're looking forward to creating content, going viral, getting big, getting attention, all these different things, right? But we're going to look back and realize that we didn't even enjoy the time that we spent getting there, right? So, like I said before, it might sound stereotypical, but enjoy the moment that you have now. I think that's one of the most important things that I learned in acting, like in general, is enjoy the present. Observe the present. It's good to look back. The past is the past and the future is the future. But if you don't enjoy the present, you didn't enjoy your life, you know? So I think that's my final takeaway.
Thank you, Denzel.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It was awesome. I was tearing up. I said, "Oh God, I'm not an emotional guy."